Today I want to dive into the Scrum ritual of Sprint Retrospective. I'll tell you what it is, why it's important, how it's usually done in Scrum teams, how you can adapt this ritual to your own projects where you're just a team of one. I'll share the best tips and tricks that I've learned over the last 10 years. I'll give you a bunch of examples of what a sprint retrospective can look like, and at the end I'll share a more philosophical view on why to do sprint retrospective, what this seemingly small ritual can do in your life. A sprint retrospective is a regular meeting that is held at the end of every sprint that is used to discuss what went well during the previous sprint, what didn't go so well, and what can be improved going forward. It is an opportunity to reflect on the previous sprint before you jump into the next sprint. It is an opportunity to learn from your mistakes and to ensure that you don't repeat them going forward. And here is a shocking part. At least it was shocking for me when I first started working in an agile team, is that in agile philosophy, we expect that things will go wrong. We expect mistakes to happen. We expect that some things will not get done. We expect that some miscommunication will occur, some problematic team dynamics. We kind of expect it. And I remember the first time I saw that meeting added to my calendar, I was like, what? So after every sprint, we'll get together and discuss what went wrong and how we can improve. This whole idea, I remember it seemed so revolutionary at the time because where else? Where else in your life, in your school, in your university, in your other working experience, have you had this notion that we'll plan something, we'll create a plan, we'll do our best, and then we'll meet together to discuss all the problems that occur? No, everywhere else in our life, we spend so much time and energy creating the perfect plan for the next 5 years, 10 years. And we spend so much time creating this bulletproof plan that the whole idea that something can go wrong is prohibited. Within the agile world, the way we grow is not by reading books, by hiring smart and expensive business consultants who can help us create a grand strategy for our business. We grow and we learn by first doing something, actually engaging with the material, with the world, then quickly stepping back, analyzing what happened in real world, not in our imaginary scenario of how things would turn out, but actually, no, what actually happened? How did we behave during the settings? What can we learn about ourselves based on our real actions or inactions? Agile philosophy is steeped in reality. That's why I like it so much. Is like it's not steeped in illusion, in theories, in some ideas and philosophies about how the world should be. No, it's based in reality, in today. How is the world today? How are you today? What is your character, your personality today? And what do we have to work with? So let's look at sprint retrospective and how it works in a team setting, because Agile and Scrum originated from a team environment. That's where I learned it from. I worked in different startups. So after the sprint is done, the team gets together and they try to answer these three questions: what worked, what didn't, how can we improve going forward? The other way to do it is to answer three questions of start, stop, continue. What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we continue doing? The purpose is not to blame each other. It's like, well, Sarah didn't do this and John forgot to submit that. No, the goal is to figure out how we can work better as a team. So we are not focused so much on specific projects, on specific QA or on specific user story. No, we are analyzing ourselves as a team. Like, how can we improve communication going forward? Because the goal that happened last sprint, like a user story or a feature or something like a bug that didn't get fixed, it's not going to be the same work that we need to do in the next sprint. So next sprint we'll have different goals, but the way we work together, that's going to stay pretty much the same, and we need to work on that, on the environment of the team, on the way we communicate, on the way we submit something, on the way things move through the pipeline. We focus on the way we work and how we can improve. And now let's look at how we can transform this ritual, this meeting, into our personal projects where we are just a team of one, where we set the goals for ourselves. Some of them got done, some of them maybe didn't get done. And then what do we do during sprint retrospective? What's the goal? And the goal is to figure out how can you improve your system for achieving goals, for managing projects, for living your life, like in general, in the next sprint. The goal is not to beat ourselves up for a specific thing that we didn't finish. The goal is to look big picture, realize what's the underlying issue, why this specific thing wasn't accomplished, why this thing's got accomplished and this one didn't. So, what's the reason? And then hopefully find something that can be applicable to the future goals. We don't want to be stuck on any specific goal, task, subtask. We want to have a general understanding, some insights about ourselves, our system, our life, our character, our personality, so that we can improve going forward. That the beauty of Agile is that you become your own guru, and that's where it happens. Sprint retrospective is where you become your own guru. That's where you build your own system on your own terms. That's where you tailor it to fit perfectly into your life conditions, into your family situation. That's where you shape it up in a way that works for you. You can't find it in any self-help books, YouTube videos. You have to do it yourself. And sprint retrospective is where it happens. You get to build brick by brick your own system. How do you actually get your sprint retrospective done? So your sprint ends. Then I have my sprint end celebration activity. It usually happens on either Friday or Saturday. I wrote a blog post about sprint end celebration activities. I'll leave a link in the description. It has all the whys, all the examples, everything you need to do. So I have my sprint end celebration activity. Then I take a day or two off. So I usually do sprint retrospectives on either Sunday evening or Monday. Then I just look at my Scrum board and see the snapshot of where I ended my sprint, what got done, what is still in the blocked column, what is in progress. Maybe there are some things that haven't even started. Sometimes it happens. If it helps, take a picture. Take a picture of your Scrum board and then go for a walk. There's this concept that if you want to kind of like think bigger about something, you need to be in an environment that has high ceilings or no ceilings at all. Elevate your ceilings, and so your level of thinking elevates as well. I think it's called the Cathedral Effect. Think about these questions. So, what got accomplished in the last sprint? So, what actually moved all the way from to do to in progress to done? I bet you have a bunch of goals, subtasks that are in that column. And our tendency is to actually focus on the things that we haven't finished. But I find that it's actually better to focus on the things that got finished and analyze the heck out of it. I would say spend 70% of your time thinking about what was it about the goals that got accomplished that is different from the things that you didn't get to accomplish. There are some underlying common themes about the things that you get to accomplish. And if you think about it, that's why you go for a walk and think about it. Like, what was it? Like, that one goal was extremely hard. It wasn't pleasant, it was long, it was tedious, but I got it done. Why is it? And and then I had this goal and that goal, and I accomplished them all. So what was it about these goals that really helped me? So again, 70% of your time, think about the goals that you did get to finish. Try to find common themes that you can transfer to the next sprint. Then look at the things that you didn't move all the way to done. Some things are in progress, some things are blocked, some things are not even started. What is it about those things that, like, is there a common theme? What differentiates those things from the ones that got moved all the way to done? Again, try to make your analysis transferable to other goals. That actually helps to prevent any of the self whipping that usually happens when we focus too much on what we haven't done. Here, try to come to it with a mindset of I'm just going to learn something about myself, about my life, about my goal setting style that can improve me going forward. Again, Agile is about interacting with reality. So you were given a chance to do something, to accomplish specific things, and then some got done, some didn't get done. Now you just need to analyze the reality, the real you, your real life circumstances, your real sprint capacity, and adapt your system that fits better with your reality. Because your sprint plan was like, especially if it's your first sprint, it was based on some idea that you had about yourself, about your life, about your work capacity, about your energy levels. It was pretty much based on some illusion that you had about yourself. Maybe it was a good reflection of reality, maybe it was not. But now you get to actually understand the reality a little bit better. And so going into your next sprint, the next sprint plan will be based on a better illusion of yourself, on the one that is better, that is more close to reality. Once you analyze the things that you finished, the things that you didn't finish, found some common themes, now step back and just look at your sprint in general. First of all, how was your sprint capacity calculation? Was it accurate? Or did you overestimate how much time you can dedicate to your sprint goals? If it's your first sprint, I bet you overestimated it. Remember when I told you to plan for no more than 5 hours per week? Maybe you do have more time, but I bet that you just overestimated. And okay, what needs to change going forward? How much time do you actually have? Now let's look at at your life in general. Did you enjoy your previous sprint? It should feel tight. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna be like, oh, it was a vacation mode. No, it's supposed to be tight. We have a cool off week coming, which we'll talk about in the next video. But the sprint, it should be quite an intense, but like good intense. It should feel tight, but not too tight where every single, like, the smallest addition to your plate will cause a burnout and meltdown. In things like personal productivity and life management in general, I think that we should optimize for longevity and things that we can repeat sprint after sprint after sprint. So the sprints should feel like, sometimes you would have an off sprint, but in general, you should design your sprints in a way that you can do one after another after another. Okay? What added the most stress to your life in the previous sprint? What maybe relieved the most stress? So now, where do you do your sprint retrospective? I use the same app that I use for my backlog. It's a notes app that comes pre-installed on all the Apple products. I have it synced between my phone and my laptop, and I used to create a different note for each of the sprint retrospectives. And then recently, I realized that the most important thing about sprint retrospective is not necessarily the current sprint retrospective, it's the repeating themes that you keep seeing from one sprint perspective to another. It's kind of the same ideas with backlog. Some of the things just need to age and they need to kind of like show themselves multiple times for you to know that it's the real thing. And I'll give you an example of that. I kept seeing this repeating theme of having of like I call it a deeper why. Every once in a while, I would have a goal that would stay in the to-do column. So it wouldn't even get moved to the in progress column. It would stay in the to-do column. And when I analyzed, like, why? What is it about this specific goal that is so different from the things that got moved to the done column? And oftentimes it would be that I don't see a deeper why, like why I need to do this thing. It might be something that I've seen on the YouTube channel. It might be something that like someone I respect said I should do. But I didn't really understand why. And last year, I wrote the entire blog post of an example of this issue, and it was around hosting a baby shower. I was pregnant at the time, and this whole idea that I should host a baby shower, and it was like such a difficult goal for me for no particular reason. Well, later I realized it was because I didn't have a good enough why for this goal. That's why it kept migrating from one sprint to another. I'll leave a link in the description and you can read the whole story. But this theme kept repeating. It's like one goal, like one sprint, one goal like had this issue, then like a couple sprints later another goal had the same issue. And so nowadays I just learned to accept that if I don't have a crystal clear why for a goal, chances are I'm not going to do it. It's not going to move anywhere. It's just going to be stuck in the to do column. And here's actually an interesting point. You find out something about yourself like this. It's like, whenever, if I don't understand the why, I'm not going to do it. And now you're facing this dilemma. You can either work on this character trait and develop it into something better, change it so it's comes into like character development, and sometimes it can be a good thing. Or you can say, no, I'm okay with this character trait and I like going forward, I just know this about myself, I'm gonna embrace it, and I'm not gonna put anything on my scrum board that does not meet this criteria. In my case, me not understanding why in very, very clear details. And so I chose to embrace it because I think it's a good enough character trait. I don't see anything bad about it, so I'm not gonna change myself. Okay, coming back. So you want to have a notes file and just do one retrospective on top of another, and occasionally just review the previous retrospectives to see if there is a common theme. And here's an important thing. You don't want to turn a sprint retrospective into a collection of endless to-dos for your next sprint. You already have a backlog. You already have a bunch of ideas that are aging well, that are exciting, and you want to consider for the next sprint. Sprint retrospectives are like, they're very subtle but very profound, because during those sprint retrospectives, you get to experience some meaningful insights about yourself, about your character, about the way you like to work, the way you are the most productive. And most of the time, like I would say, like, don't try to make a to do out of it. Just try to like go for a walk and just like think the end result should be a more clear understanding of yourself and what you should, how you should, yeah, that's a good way to put it, how you should approach your next sprint planning, not necessarily what you should do next sprint. See the difference? Let me give you some examples of my sprint retrospective because I love examples. That's how I learn. I know you love examples too. So let's see. I just opened my last sprint retrospective. Okay, so what worked? I wrote that having a big promise that I have made to my subscribers. So there were a few goals related to recording YouTube videos. They were difficult, they were time consuming, tedious. Editing these videos is no joke. But somehow I got them done, all of them. And when I analyzed why, it was because I made a promise. Even though there are not a lot of you here, I have a very small YouTube channel, doesn't matter. Apparently, that's what I learned about myself. If I promise something, I try to keep my word and it motivates me to actually complete these goals. Again, it's not necessarily something that results in the immediate to-do item, but it's a very meaningful insight about myself. So when I'm thinking about next sprint goals, I'm like, okay, like maybe I can promise someone something and that will motivate me. Who knows? But it's a good thing to know about myself. Let me give you another example. So last sprint, there were a lot of days where I decided to run a small experiment. It wasn't a part of my Scrum board, but it was kind of like a life experiment where I left my phone at home when I went for a walk with my daughter in the evening. And it turned out to be the highlight of my day every single day because I don't know, something, and I'm not the type of person who is on my phone a lot, but physically leaving it at home and going without it was such an awesome experience. I got to enjoy the sunset, and I was like, yeah, I should do more of that. Again, doesn't necessarily go on the Scrum board or anything. It's just like I remember, okay, if I decide to go for a walk with my daughter, I better leave my phone at home. Again, very subtle, but improves the quality of my life. Now, on the opposite side, what didn't work? So I had the goal of posting on Reddit. Um, for context, when I started my blog 3 years ago, I posted on Reddit and it used to work really well. I got my first subscribers from Reddit. The goal was very simple, just copy paste all the like blog posts that I wrote over the last 3 years on Reddit. Like you couldn't come up with the easier goal. But here's the funny part, all the difficult goals were completed during the sprint, and this, like the easiest goal of all, got stuck in the in progress column. And I'm like, what's going on? And I was so curious because it was the easy one. And then I started digging deeper, like, why is it happening? And I realized that, well, Reddit has changed a lot. And, well, okay, Reddit was always quite a cynical place, but recently it became such a toxic environment where, like, no matter what you post, people just put negative comments. And then, so that was one reason. It's just like very toxic environment. The second reason was that over the last 3 years, a lot of communities that I used to post in, they're called subreddits, they changed their rules where you're not allowed to post links. Well, my goal is to grow my audience, so I need to kind of like have a way to show them my website and my blog and my blog and the YouTube channel. Nowadays, what you have to do if you want to do it is to like find some sort of creative way to put your link in there. If I post it on this day and then I put the link 2 days later, I wouldn't get banned. or if I post and then and include the link in the comments, then I wouldn't get banned. And that I realized that this whole thing of trying to cut corners and find the way to break rules without being caught, that was what was stopping me. And that's, again, I'm kind of like facing this fork in the road. Is like, that's a character trait that I learned about myself. Now, do I change it or do I embrace it? I can go either way. It's fine, but for now, I just decided to not do anything because I don't have a lot of goals like this coming up, but I'll keep seeing if it's a repeating theme. I think I'll end up embracing it, but for now, there are no immediate actions. It's just a good observation that whenever I'm kind of forced to do something slightly unethical, slightly on the edge, I freeze. It stops me. I'm not making any progress. I can work on it or I can embrace it. We'll see what happens. I want to give you kind of like a deeper why, a deeper level for sprint retrospective, because that's the thing that always grabs me when I'm watching such videos. And I think that's the thing that can help you actually stick with the sprint retrospective, actually do it, because from my experience, it tends to be the most overlooked Scrum ritual. Sprint planning is very exciting. It's all the new things that you get to do, as even daily stand up seems exciting. But sprint retrospective kind of sounds very bureaucratic, very mundane, kind of useless in a way. I want to argue that it's actually the most important agile ritual. And the reason why is because that's where your life craftsmanship happens. The art of living a good life. We all want to have it. But how do we find this art? How do we cultivate a good life? How do we even know what a good life is if we don't stop and reflect on a regular basis? So a lot of us don't even know what we like, what makes a good day. A long time ago, I decided that I would optimize my life for a regular Tuesday. I want my regular Tuesdays to be good, to be enjoyable, to be productive, to be calm, to be filled with beautiful moments, to be filled with meaning, to be. It's like I'm optimizing for a regular Tuesday. I'm not optimizing for vacations. I'm not optimizing for retirement. I'm optimizing for a regular Tuesday. And I need to know what makes a good Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. And when you actually, like when you live for a period of time, like a sprint, and then you look back and say, what worked? What was beautiful about it? What was nice? What is it that I can bring into the next sprint? I like to look at it as the process of curation. Curation is a function of time. When you travel, you get to stay in hotels or Airbnbs, and it's so obvious. The moment you walk into this hotel, like you know that it's not a hotel that's been curated. Most of the time, you can see that the person who decorated this place, they went to IKEA, or I don't know, was the IKEA for hotels, but let's focus on Airbnbs. They went to IKEA and in one day they bought this whole thing. A lot of the magazine pictures that you see are like that. So it's kind of like it's all done in a span, like in a very short amount of time. And you can see it. There is no soul, there is no heart. It looks beautiful, but it's not curated because it wasn't a function of time. But when you walk into a nicely curated space, you can feel that it's been curated for years. And I think we can apply the same concept to our lives in general. And sprint retrospective is this process where you sit down, or go for a walk, and you curate. It's like, what can I take from this sprint like one beautiful piece and bring it into the next sprint? And what can I leave behind? And so, again, curation is the function of time. And you kind of embrace this slow process of like, I'm taking it like one sprint retrospective at a time. That's the art of living, where you get to think, it's like, how can I improve my life in the future? It's not based on some theory or the book that you just read. It's based on your previous sprint. You get to know, you get to learn yourself, you get to learn about your character. Life is much more enjoyable when you create it with your personality in mind. Where it's like, yeah, I'm the type of person who needs to have, who needs to understand why we do things. And then all of a sudden, the things that you do, like they they have meaning, you understand them, and the overall quality of life improves. I think nowadays we are all obsessed about learning new things, but most of the time we just need reminding about the core timeless principles. And the reason why I recommend keeping it in one document is because you need to be reminded about some of your character traits, about some of the things that just does not work for you, or some of the things that do work for you but you keep refusing to accept it. Sometimes it's much better than learning a new thing. That's it for today. I leave all the links for the blog post that I talked about, and the link to my newsletter in the description notes. If you have any questions about this concept, please leave a comment. I see them all, I answer them all. But for now, as always, happy sprinting. See you next time.